y'all. It is Hope at Crafty Hope, and I am participating in the Use It Up, Fill It Up 2 challenge from Southern Gals Designs on Instagram. Now, Tiffany issued this challenge to use up our craft supplies in our journal, but instead of using a journal, I'm using some old pieces of Christmas cards that I had used the fronts of, and Tiffany said that was fine because I'm using it up. So I started by just putting down some collage papers that were left over from the Carved December project, and then I pulled out some paints that were sitting around that I really just needed to use up. I started with the black and got just way too much in there, so this ended up much darker than I really liked. But then I pulled out some metallic paints I've had sitting around for ages and ages and never used, and just braided those on. There's a purple and a teal that are really gorgeous, and so I just kind of braided those onto my card and then onto the card for tomorrow. Then I grabbed some gesso and a palette knife and just scraped that over to kind of bring the black back a little bit, and using my palette knife and a little scraper tool, texture tool from Ranger, I added a little bit of texture into the card. Once I dried it a little bit, I took some of my hand carved stamps in a Distress Oxide and stamped that on a little bit to brighten, just bring a little more brightness to the card. And then a Sharpie paint pen in white, added some dots on there, and a Tim Holtz Chit Chat sticker real quick that says take risks, and I threw that on there and went around it with just a pen just to kind of bring it forward. And I used a Posca paint pen in purple to add some little ovals on there to just bring a little more purple back on there, and went back to that white paint pen adding more dots, and really that's it, y'all. This card was done in 15 minutes, in less than 15 minutes actually. Now for the second card here coming up, I used that card that I had braided onto the day before, and again dipped into that stack of papers that I had used to stamp my Carved December stamps on, and just kind of pasted those on randomly, covering up most of that color that was on there. And then I took just a little white acrylic craft paint and braided that on to put that into the background. I used a green metallic paint and just kind of spritzed it on there and used a combination of a paintbrush and my finger to smear that around. And then I had some purple paint and just drew like some half ovals, I guess, little arcs onto the card. And then I've got some yellow metallic paint that I made like a leaf shape on there, and I went around both the ovals and the arcs with a just cheap O ballpoint pen. Now I'm using it's like a gelato, but it's like a water soluble crayon in a like plum color, and put that on there just for some fun. Made some dots with a Sharpie paint pen in black. Used some more of my stamps. It's kind of a planty leaf fern thing. Stamped that on there with stays on, I think, and drew some lines with a pen. And what else did I do here? This was such a little thing. I wrote on there, keep going, because this one I really was pushing to try to figure out what I wanted to do on it. And so I was trying to encourage myself to keep going. I did go back and add a little bit more of that yellow metallic on there just because I thought it really brightened up the card some and was pretty. So I kind of went around those leaves with it and added dashes with the white paint pen. And from there, I'm just done with it. So I think it turned out I really do like the metallic in there with that purple. Now for this last card, or the third card for this challenge, I took a whole page that I had stamped on, and it had washi tape and some stamps and everything, and I just glued that straight on top of the card. The washi tape was fraying up a little, so I trimmed it back. Then I've got some Dylusions green paint. Not real sure what that shade is. I may put it down below in the section, and painted that on just kind of randomly, and then some white acrylic paint that I made dots on just using my finger to make the dots. And I've got some gold paint that I'm just painting on the other side. That, y'all, this was so random. I didn't even know what I was doing. I took a little piece of magazine paper that just has some text on it and cut some circles out, and then stamped onto those with a another hand carved stamp. That seems to be the theme right now, and that's kind of a lotus pattern I did. Before I glued those down, I took some orange ink and just dripped it on there and moved it around with the wet paintbrush. that piece of washi tape that was on there really stood out to me, so I added another piece of it off to the side just to kind of make it a little more cohesive on that left side. And then I glued down my little stamp circles, just getting them over on there. I'd say again that left side was really open. I added a little bit of a neo color in black just to grunge it up a little, and then I used some distress crayons in a couple different shades to try to draw out the colors from that washi tape onto the card. I used the bottom of that page I had cut off to write breathe on there. I felt so panicked with this card. I just didn't know where I was going. So that I really, the lotus kind of inspired the need to breathe with this. And then I used just a black pen to go around the little lotuses and the word. And that was it, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this, and make sure to play along if you're interested in this. Thanks, guys. Bye.